We are live. Welcome to St. Louis Park High School for tonight's Metro West Conference basketball matchup between the Orioles and the visitors from the north, the Cooper Hawks. I'm John Fromm, and I'm happily joined tonight by a longtime friend of mine. Hopefully he feels the same way, Greg Thurston. Greg, looking forward to the game tonight. What can we expect out of the Hawks and Orioles, you think?
Looks like they're going to be probably an up-and-down matchup. Both teams have some changes to the starting lineup. They played a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't very close, but hopefully we'll have a little closer game here. So let's throw it up.
A few changes for the Hawks as they're going to start Jason Edwards at shooting guard and Teron Pickford, who has had a great season for the Hawks. Unfortunately, a little banged up, so they're starting Adam Cook, number 41, a ninth grader. And then you're going to recognize a couple players for the Hawks that obviously get a lot of minutes, including number 20, who you can see in your screen there. That's Melvin Newbern Jr. And for longtime Minnesota Gopher fans, indeed that is former Gopher Melvin Newbern's son. And his brother, Bejan, is only a ninth grader, and he'll get a lot of minutes. They also start number 35, Damian Gordon, and number 23, Jordan Marshall. And the Orioles and Hawks, Greg, both coming off 12-point losses on Tuesday night, and whoa, look at that athleticism, Greg.
I used to do that here. That wasn't
Greg, is that part of Coach Burton's routine that he requires that? A la Ozzie Smith, or?
I haven't seen that before. That was a nice pick-me-up.
There you see the Hawks sporting, it looks like the Newbern brothers sporting their headbands there.
Looks like the younger brother probably wants to be like older brother here.
And for the Orioles, normal starting lineup tonight. Orioles come in 4-7 in the conference. Obviously the Hawks with a 5-6 balance sheet. For the Orioles, Wes Johnson, the senior guard, Ray Whitlock, junior guard, fourth in the conference in scoring, number 25. And then you've got a little bit of the youth movement, as it looks like, it looks like number 5, McCall Howard, number 5 out there, who's had a great second half of the season for the sophomore, and Nick Chost, one of the seniors. So off the tap, in control by Bejan. Bejan Newbern, left-hand dribble, top of the arc here. He's going to skip it on over to his brother. Resets the offense at the top here. Hawks going to move it around. Chost up tight on the defensive side. Nice entry pass. Pushed back out that time as he was able to control the pass, was Cook. And here's Newbern again. Greg, Hawks historically run a lot of motion offense. We see a lot of picking out of them. What do you expect?
A lot of motion offense, a lot of try to isolation. Looks like they've got 2 guys that played last year on an 8th grade team that was second in the state. Bejan here and Adam Cook.
Yeah, I was going to say that's remarkable for varsity basketball. You see the air ball go out of bounds. You just don't hear that often. So
yeah, it's a little more physical probably. They'll probably go inside a little more than they have been, it looks like.
Yeah, and we should mention, too, for the Orioles, here's Ray Whitlock, 25, with that right-hand dribble and the give up there to Chost. Top of the key from 18, missed shot by Jason Keller. Going to skip out of bounds. So both teams feeling each other out. And I can imagine for Coach Breitenbucher, the last time these teams met, Cooper really took it to Park by 30-plus points. And I know they've got to have some revenge in their mind, at least to play a much more competitive game against Cooper.
Well, I think the first 5 minutes are pretty important then to them. They probably want to get off to a good start. I'm sure that was talked about at practice. Probably some good practices.
There you see at the top of the key, Damian Gordon getting harassed on the defensive side. And here's Whitlock with a clean steal, left-hand dribble, crossover, gets it on the right hand, and a layup by Howard goes awry, but he's able to get the carom there and kick it on out to Whitlock. So Greg, he did not go up with the left hand there. He went up right-handed, which you don't normally see there. So
absence of fundamentals, John.
Yeah, here's Howard, the sophomore. Post down low, Cook on the defensive side, a little give and go, kick out to the right corner, and a left-handed drive, and finish that time by number 21, the senior, Nick Chost. He's really the size the Orioles have out there at this point. 21, Nick Chost out there. Domris, 53 out there, the sophomore. Excuse me, 51, the sophomore. Newbern, ooh, beautiful cross-handed dribble as he goes behind the back. Gordon, right-hand dribble, 12 feet, good. Nicely done by the sophomore Gordon. So a lot of youth out there today for the Hawks, Greg.
Oh yeah,
gonna have our first real turnover of the game, in my opinion, and that's a traveling going to be whistled on the Orioles. And 2-2 early on here.
I'm guessing St. Louis Park's going to want to slow it up a little bit. It looks like they're getting hurried, though, by the tempo already, so hopefully Get in their offense.
And the Orioles historically, as you and I talked about before the game, really playing only 9 players. Newbern with some contact there as he tried to drive on Howard, and his older brother going to get whistled for the travel there. So, and we saw Bejan and Melvin's dad, Melvin Sr., helping coach the B Squad game earlier. So really a whole Newbern affair at Cooper High School.
Yep, he's on the bench for the varsity too, right down there.
Nice entry pass by Howard as he gets it back, and a kick out back to Howard as they're playing catch. Right hand corner, thrown away, and a nice step up that time and a crossover by Gordon. Left hand dribble, 5 feet down on the baseline. Kick back out to Cook. Cook right hand over to the side. 16-footer goes high off the glass. Got a clean board that time by Whitlock. Gray setting the offense. Nice entry down low to Chose, and Chose goes up with a right hand and a nice soft kiss. So another hoop that time for Nick Chose, who's got all those back-to-back and has all 4 Oriole points so far. Bejan, one-on-one as you got youth served with number 10, a 9th grader, and Howard, only a sophomore for the Orioles. Gordon from 18, and I believe that's a triple, so count it. From 3-point range for Damian Gordon, a sophomore. Chose being guarded closely by Newbern. Over to Whitlock at the top of the key. Orioles going to rotate it around, trying for a steal that time, but able to control that was Newbern. Chose with a slight push on Newbern, gets some space as the Hawks switch defensively. And a clean kick. Starting it up, Bejan Newbern. Right hand dribble, gets it over to Melvin, goes with the left hand, and a blocking foul going to be whistled on a very unhappy Jason Keller, who shows his emotion when that call was whistled. So
probably let him take a couple of jump shots before I get up on him. He's really quick for a 6'4" player.
And look at the size and bulk of the freshman Cook as he works it inside. Greg, he has some big-time size, but Orioles going to come clean off the board, and Whitlock going to try to finish. He has that partially blocked, but it looks like he's going to be sent to the line for 2. So yeah, Cook got some big size. He wasn't able to quite finish that time, but a nice job. And I don't know if Bejan Newbern got a piece of that or whatnot, but good for the Orioles to have Ray Whitlock involved offensively early on. Junior Whitlock pops it down. Orioles, as I mentioned, with a 9-man rotation and only 3 seniors in the rotation, so a lot of youngsters getting a lot of work this year. Of course, 2 years ago, as Greg and I were talking, you had 12 seniors on the team, and that was pretty much it. So last year, partial rebuilding, and Orioles up early, 6-5 here. Newbern over to his brother, down low to Gordon, left-hand entry pass. Nice step up that time defensively by, and almost a clean steal by Newbern, but Whitlock going to reset things. Almost a travel there, but Orioles with good ball movement early on here. Right-hand dribble, and he loses control of it, is Chose. And a steal back that time, and off the foot of Adam Cook. Hot potato, who wants the potato?
Jeez.
About 4 turnovers in 6 seconds. Chose again, entry pass down low. And the battle of the big men. Oh, nice entry and a nice job offensively, but unable to finish that time was Domris.
They're checking on the freshman down there, but it looks like he's holding up pretty good so far, Adam Cook.
Here is Cook, the freshman. Nice up and under, a la Kevin McHale, and the follow from 4 and 1. He finishes, and Cook on the board, the freshman, and he's going to go for the 3-point play.
Yeah, we're not talking about normal freshmen here for Cooper. I mean, these are kids that fit in physically as well. They're big kids, big boys, and they're got some good moves, so looks pretty good.
And he's listed at 6'5", Greg, as he finishes his 3-point play. He's got to be 220, 225. I mean, real good physically put together. He's
still a freshman, so he's going to grow probably some more too. So I think that's why they've kind of groomed him to be in the middle there.
That must have been some team with him and Newbern, Bejan as 8th graders, finishing that well and traveling. So Orioles right side, left-hand dribble, working into the lane is Whitlock. He pushes it to go, instead of finishing there with the left hand, he tried to finish with the right hand. Fundamentally not probably the best play, but he is able to draw the foul, and I believe that is on, was that on Cook? No, it was on Gordon, I apologize, his first. And to the stripe goes Whitlock. Right hand dribble, good fundamentals from Ray.
St. Louis Park is taking it to the basket tonight, Mr. John.
Yeah.
that's definitely going to bode well for him. And eventually, the outside will open up and a lot easier shots when they start taking some outside shots too.
And a couple youth substitutions for the Orioles. This is a fascinating matchup for me because in the interior, not only do the Hawks have Adam Cook, 41, but the Orioles are countering with a sophomore center in Ryan Domris, who's not as tall, but he's got some big bulk. And then, of course, Newbern Bejan against Howard, which is a 9 versus 10th grade matchup. So there's a 15-footer by Gordon again, and I believe that's 4 for him. Turnover for the Hawks offensively. Nice high entry pass and a lob that time. Back door and a follow on the dunk was Newbern to Newbern, and Melvin finished, but after the whistle.
I don't think they called it good, but I think.
Wow. I hope we have the replay capabilities. Take a look, Greg, if you can. High lob pass, and then instead of finishing, Bejan just a setup for older brother.
I think Bejan knew he was going to do that from the moment he probably got to about half court. He was kind of setting that up, I think, but.
That's kind of like when the Thurston brothers get out there, and I'm sure Sam with the high lob to Andrew and the finish.
Well, we do have to raise that basket up, I suppose, sometime. It's the 6-footer.
We're happy to have Andrew joining us and doing yeoman's work as our stats man today. Really appreciate his help. Gordon entry pass under the hoop, and they'll have to reset. 10-8 Hawks early on. Domris gets a hand on that. Nicely done. Hawks retain possession. Left-hand pass into the corner on the right side. Bejan, left-hand shot. And a nice board that time by Howard, who gets it to Whitlock. Whitlock running. Entry pass goes off the foot of Newbern. And then even showing good hands with Whitlock, but then he just lost it out of bounds.
I think that kicking the ball still is an infraction, John. I've seen like 4 of them tonight and they haven't called.
And that sequence where we had about 4 turnovers in 10 seconds. So hope you're joining us here, and hope you're enjoying this telecast of Metro West Suburban Basketball. His first year of the new conference, and these two moved over. Entry pass into Cook. Nice job, hands up defensively by Chosy, who's able to just get a small piece of that. Whitlock, entry pass to another one of the sophomores newly in the game for St. Louis Park. Number 35, Josiah Morrow, just entered the game. Morrow thought he was going to throw the inbounds pass there. Morrow, the sophomore, 6'1", averaging 8 a game as a 10th grader, as we mentioned. Howard, who is sophomore teammate and friend. Morrow, the give up to the junior Whitlock from 17. 3-ball. Got a good fundamental stroke, usually Ray does.
He stepped into that one. That looked pretty good.
Good feet a la Greg Thurston, the master of the set shot back in Oriole days.
It's all in the footwork.
Greg was a excellent basketball and baseball player here at St. Louis Park, and just happy to have him back where it all started, where all the glory was. Right-hand dribble and a nice drive, and going the line for 2 is Newbern.
Bejan does take it to the basketball. I probably has to work on his outside shooting a little bit. It's kind of hard to nitpick as these freshmen playing on the varsity level, but he can take it to the basket. He's got long arms, and he's got good spring.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought on one of the attempts, it looks like he can go beautifully as he attempts the foul shot left-handed, but he can go well with the right hand on his dribble as well.
Yeah,
that's a good skill for that age.
He went right and shot right on that one and got the foul.
Yeah, obviously, I think Dad might have banged that into his head at about age 3 and on.
Yeah, they've played a lot of basketball at a young age.
Well, Melvin was a great guard for the Gophers, Melvin Sr., and helped lead the Gophers in 88 and 89 to NCAA runs. So, and almost a Final Four, if I remember right, in 89. I think they finished in the loss to Georgia Tech. Here's Howard with a push-off. No call that time. He tried to get some space. A cross-court pass to Howard. Newbern tried for the steal. 3-pointer attempted that time by Chose, but nobody home. Should mention, obviously, in the game as well, Jordan Marshall, 23 here with the nice blue skips. Marshall tries to step up on Howard. Howard gives it up that time. Right hand, Morrow, and pinned off the glass, but I believe we're going to get a 2. I believe the 2 is going to be counted.
Yep, goaltending on that one. He hit it up the backboard.
There you see Morrow fresh into the game, goes right hand off the board, and you can see it clearly hit the glass and was on its way down. Nice for the sophomore Morrow to get in the game and get on the board quickly here. The Hawks have some definitely nicely colored skips. You don't often see the variety of shoes that they come at you with.
They've got the orange and the blue are good colors to work with, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Whoa, there's a nice crossover and double back right hand from 10. Nobody home that time for Marshall, but a board for the Orioles. And oh, it looks like one of the Orioles, it looks like Howard slipped and fell. Clean turnover. Cook, entry pass that time. 5-footer goes awry, but good ball movement by Cooper, Greg, taking advantage of the Howard turnover.
Yep, I hate when they don't use the backboard. Number one pet peeve there, Mr. John.
Yeah, especially when you're 4 or 5 feet like that and you're clean on, right?
It always goes up the back end.
There's an entry pass, beautifully done. Left side, not able to finish that time. Was 43 for the Orioles. I believe that's Jack Lynch in the game.
Yep, and that's 2 fouls on Adam Cook, who they've been kind of relying on at the beginning of the game here. Kind of surprising.
I wouldn't be surprised, Greg, if the Orioles rotate. Here's one of the sophomores, Jack Lynch, who just recently has been seeing a lot of game time against Richfield. We had him for 16 points. Still needs to gain some weight as well, but I know they're going to rotate. I assume there are 3 bigger players to try to deal with the bulk of Cook especially. And we should mention too, Greg, that Melvin Newbern Jr., really a great leaper. Obviously takes a lot of tips for the Hawks, but he's somebody that if they do choose to post up, I assume has some great success with his variety of moves.
Real quick jumper. He'll get the ball the second time and third time too if he has to. So yeah, he's got really quick jumper. Lynch misses a pair. Sophomore newly in the game, not able to add to the Oriole lead. Left-hand kick over to the left-handed shooting Newbern, and that hit all net, but unfortunately it wasn't the right part of the net. His brother with a steal. Newbern Jr. gets rejected that time, but he isn't denied in his drive to the pass, so even though he might have been a little frustrated, Greg, he didn't let it wear him down. That's pretty good for a freshman right there to keep his head. Yeah, keep his composure as a lot of young men don't. Whitlock with the give up to Morrow, left hand, kind of a two-handed runner from 6 feet. Don't know which hand released it, but Morrow going to get rejected, and a nice job defensively that time by Jordan Marshall, the 6'1" senior for the Hawks. Yep, Jordan Marshall played on the football team, was a wide receiver. There you see Morrow, he almost shot that with both hands. St. Louis Park has tried that shot like 4 times tonight. I don't know if that's in the offense or what, but they should probably scrap that. Yeah, exactly. It was a nice entry pass and a miss by Lynch that time. Clean break, and we're going to have a travel whistled, I believe, on 32, newly in the game for the Hawks, and I believe is that James Beard? Yeah, James Beard, 32 in the game. Hawks have suffered a couple losses in terms of a couple of their quality players. They're missing their leading scorer, Teron Pickford, a big loss, who's averaging 18 a game, second in the conference, and I know Coach Burton has needed him. Left-hand dribble, looks like Whitlock's going to get hacked on the arm that time. And I believe that was Gordon who was going to get whistled for. Here's a replay of that situation here. Left-hand dribble by Whitlock. He beats his man clean. I think he was trying to continue to go with the left hand that time, Greg, but. You got the foul call. That was what I think he was going for. That's the second on Gordon, so we'll see if he still stays in the game with a lot of time remaining in the first half here. And I believe he is, boy, I don't know, Greg, maybe I have a psychic abilities as he goes right to the bench. So Damian Gordon going to sit for a minute. I believe number 5 now in the game. Again, Jason Edwards. Jason, the 5'9" senior, second leading scorer for the Hawks from his point guard slot. He transferred from Benilde from last year, so you might recognize him on this same channel here. Yeah, and that's a nice thing to have, transferring from the private to the public. Good cost savings for the family, and I'm all for that. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's got to be good to have him and his senior leadership. So, because the Hawks, left hand rising up from 14 is Newbern and goes with the left hand. So, I'm going to say Melvin, I think, when he shoots versus his brother. So, right hand entry pass from 45 feet goes down to the right corner. Chose moving it around as the Orioles pass it around the exterior there. And Edwards gets a hand on that, and the Orioles will have to reset things. We're squared at 15 here in the rematch from earlier in the season. John Fromm along with St. Louis Park's own Greg Thurston, if you recognize that voice. Testing. You guys recognize it? Yeah. Great basketball and baseball player here at Oriole Country. I remember Thirsty launching those shots. And speaking of launching shots from 3, there's an air ball, unfortunately, shot up by Howard that time. St. Louis Park has started out really good passing the ball and moving, and now they're kind of standing still a little bit. So let's see, this is where it looks like they got in trouble last time. So hopefully they can get the ball movement back, take the ball to the basket. That's where their success has been.
good insight. Orioles have got 8 different players in the game so far. They're going to have to keep fresh troops as this has been a relatively fast-paced game early on here. Right-hand dribble from 7, cross-court pass diagonally, back out in a nice fake on the ball. And a follow that time by, whoa, what a high-rise effort by Marshall. Not able to get the dunk, but beautiful athleticism. And a clean steal off Howard. Here's Marshall again. Right-hand pass, left-hand finish that time by Newbern. And as he slides across the baseline, he's going to the line for 2. What a sequence, Greg.
Yeah, Cooper will bring athletes off the bench. There's one of them right here. That was a nice steal. After he almost came out from the free throw line and dunked it.
I wish we had the replay of him following. You could see him, a la Dr. J, almost launching from the free throw line.
Yeah, you don't want to make this into an athletic competition with Cooper. You want to try to play sound basketball. Right about now would be a good time. So.
Yeah, oh boy, I was well said, and nice to have that depth as the freshman strokes his second one, cleanly done. Good finish that time. Wes Johnson, 3 in the game for the Orioles, the senior on the left side of your screen. Left-hand dribble and a foul that time as Whitlock was able to get the head down, turn the corner there, Greg, and pick up the personal on the freshman.
Yeah, we started playing with our hands instead of our feet there. Causing a foul. One more and they're in the bonus, so hopefully they can keep going to the basket and make some free throws and keep it close.
Orioles trying to cash in here as they trail by 1. Orioles going to have to reset here. And a nice steal on the entry, and we've called his name a lot. And a beautiful step up by Marshall. Clean steal. Newbern had a 5-slamma-jamma from 7 feet on the high-rise effort, and Dave Breitenbucher going to go for the timeout in Oriole country. Boy, what a high-wire effort. Marshall again with a clean steal, and then look at Newbern. What hops.
He dunked that with ease. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, and we should mention Melvin Jr. 6'4" as well, which I think roughly was the height of his dad. So for the younger Newbern, obviously hoping for a growth spurt like big brother.
Yeah, he's got the long arms too, so that really helps him get up off the ground, and he's got those arms to put it away. He's been close to the rim 3 or 4 times already tonight. He's about the only one here.
We should mention too that as Andrew Thurston was nice enough to point out, our stats man tonight, with Pickford, the leading scorer for the Hawks, not being available, the one thing that's nice for Coach Burton is obviously he's been a weapon they've had to rely on a lot offensively, but maybe there'll be a little more unselfishness continually for the Hawks. It's been a very unselfish game both ways.
Yeah, there's been some good passing. Cooper's moving the ball, and they're starting to really go to the basket, and they're getting all the way to the rim. They're not just coming close to the basket.
Orioles relying on a nice entry pass, beautifully done. Good fundamentals from Whitford. And indeed, Whitlock going to finish with his friend that time. Right-hand dribble. Edwards going to pull it back out to reset things. Marshall, who's had a nice 4 or 5 minutes in the game, over to Newbern. Newbern, who just had the big dunk, working his little brother out high. Right-hand side, Edwards looking down low. Not able to do anything. Nice high aloft on the entry pass, and a beautiful finish that time. Nicely done. And that was number 32, James Beard, with his first hoop of the game. Really got a nice entry on the height of that lob pass as well, Greg.
Yeah, the Cooper's bench, it looks like it's playing better than the starters right now. So
that's one nice thing when you have a big gun go down. Right hand off the iron, and I really thought for a second that was going to be rejected by Marshall, but Whitlock with the finish.
Had a nice little loft to it.
Yeah, I think relatively with the athleticism Cooper has, Breitenbucher's got to be relatively happy. A little wild shot from the runner from 6 feet goes off the glass. Does not hit any iron. And the Edwards cross-court entry down to Chose, and then Chose, I thought for a second we were going to have a tie-up and a jump, but it looks like, unfortunately for the Hawks, Beard going to be, I think that's Beard, 32 going to be whistled. Or was it 23 Marshall? Thank you there, it was Marshall, and he's not happy with that call. I just saw an expression that is understandable, so. I did think it was a tie-up momentarily there, Greg, so.
It's kind of an off-balance shot, so I think the ref kind of helped him out through that.
Yeah, we'll take a look at Nick Chose, the 6'4" senior. Nick, out of the senior class for the Orioles, the 3 seniors that are seeing a lot of minutes, the only one that's going to move on and play college basketball next year. Getting recruited by a few of the local Division III schools, and Coach Breitenbucher telling me he's a really good student as well. So tip of the hat to Nick. So nice left-hand entry and good speed as Newbern with a left-hand pass out to his brother and the triple, I believe. Yes, one of the officials does signal 3. Beautiful left hand on the left side there. Newbern goes down low on the baseline and great vision to see his brother.
Yeah, he's taking a lot of outside shots tonight. They've been giving him too many. He's been taking it.
Well, Howard, little hesitation from the outside, Greg, as he was not really aggressive going into the middle, but he waited for the Hawk defenders. You'll see, not really going full speed here, a little stop and go move almost. But he's able to draw the foul and 1 here, and I believe that as well is on Marshall. And I don't know if that's the 2nd or 3rd on him. Okay. Oh, I thought that was on Marshall. See, last time it wasn't on. Got it wrong last time. So here's Howard. So Howard finishes the 3-point play and puts the Orioles up here with just under 5 minutes remaining in the first half here. St. Louis Park High School going through the legs multiple times with nice coordination. Edwards, top of the key, they'll reset here. Marshall going to spin off a pick he tried to set there. And right hand, little soft push that time, created some space on the check down there. And working it around the right side, Newbern getting some help from his friends. Left hand again, and a nice finish.
That was a tough angled shot there.
Man, and he didn't have a lot of space to create that, and love to see him with the left hand fully. You know, you talked about the Newbern brothers being able to finish with either hand and dribble with either hand, and good coordination. So looks like Wes Johnson gonna
just make sure everybody has their shoes tied.
Gotta tie those skips. You don't want to have anything happen here on the hardwood.
St. Louis Park has done a good job of staying in that. As I say, they make a bad turnover, though.
Bad turnover, and Howard loses that time, and 5 takes it away from 5, and the finish by Edwards. So Hawks move back up by 3.
I've studied this zone defense that Cooper runs. I've used it on some of the teams I coach, and that sideline is 6 and 7 defender, and when you go towards that sideline, you're helping out Cooper a lot. So
good. Yeah, absolutely. And then with the speed to be able to trap defensively like that, you can imagine how much time is spent in practice working on varieties defensively. Do the Hawks play a lot of man-to-man historically too, Greg? Or are they?
They'll come back and play half-court man-to-man, but mostly they do that kind of amoeba zone press that's kind of popular right now. They just want to create the frenzied pace, and that's
I think that's kind of Jerry Tarkanian type basketball from UNLV back in the day.
Very appropriate. Good timing on that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Tark just passed away this week, but what a legend in coaching. Biting down on that towel forever. And Edwards, boy, he's really nice entry pass. And I'll tell you, I don't know if there's a spot in the Globetrotters, but I'll tell you, ball handling-wise, Jason Edwards loves to go between the legs and has some great skill at that. Howard down to Johnson, right-hand corner. Left hand puts it out to Whitlock, who's going to reset things. Chose looking down low as one of the Orioles players flashing into the post that time, and a nice entry pass and a beautiful block that time by Jordan Marshall, who pins it against the glass. We've said his name multiple times. I hope we have that on the replay. Look at the beautiful entry pass.
He came right from the free throw line there.
Look at the height, because and he just got the bottom part of the ball because it was
clean.
Yep. And if he almost would have needed to go up with a dunk to finish that, because Marshall not going to let things happen on the backside. So right hand Johnson, the senior, pushes it out to fellow senior Chose. All the way around the exterior, and the triple misses hard off the iron. Newbern going to grab the board and kick it to his younger brother. And looks like two shots at the foul line that time. I believe that's...
they're in the bonus. So.
Yeah, I absolutely should mention that. Park now with 17 fouls, the Hawks with 8, so both teams in the 1-and-1 here with just under 3 minutes remaining. And
massive substitutions.
Yeah, now here's another new entrant as the Orioles bring in their 9th player of the half. Here's junior Aaron Zheng, the 6'5" junior. I know Orioles trying to make sure they get him a lot of minutes. He's got a little more bulk than some of the other bigger players in the post, but hasn't received as many minutes so far. So Bijan trying to push it to 5, and indeed he does. 5-point margin for the Hawks early on in this Battle of the Birds Friday night. Orioles and Hawks.
danger time for St. Louis Park here the last 3 minutes. Let's see what they can do.
Nice ability to read the defensive pressure that time by Johnson as he pushed it in, but nobody home on that attempt. And Hawks going to replay and reset from 3. Here is Edwards, who misses there. And Howard getting some help from his friends. Right-hand dribble, tries to split the D. Defensively, a nice job, able to set a beautiful job defensively down low was Newbern. And Brighton Bucher high off the bench, arms extended, unhappy with the call. I don't know if he thought he was too, well, that's, he looked pretty set there.
Yeah.
You know, and even if that's the NBA, Greg, where they have that imaginary, or that circle almost, I think he was far enough out where no matter what, that's a good blocking foul. So
yeah, I think he gave him time to move out of the way. I think he had his head down. So.
Yeah, so a charge called on the Orioles, and unfortunately for Howard, just his first though. Right-hand baseline and the left-hand attempt. Nobody home, and Zhang newly in the game. Rebound, but he has it stolen away by Newbern. And Melvin, wow, he went flying in the air that time. Hopefully he's okay. Aaron Zhang grabs the board here, and he doesn't notice from behind that, well, it wasn't Melvin who got the steal officially, but there you see Melvin almost diving out of bounds there as he fell really hard. So.
Yeah, that was awkward. There was about 30 people across from us there that stood up. They were ready for the old dunk there, but I think he felt a twinge in his knee, so I think they gave him the foul.
Well, this is, as you mentioned, Greg, a really important time as Newbern hits the first one. The Orioles really had been within 1 or 2 either way as the game had progressed, but if Newbern can finish this, it's a 7-point Hawk margin with just 2 minutes to play in the half.
Yeah, the way high school basketball is, it only takes 2-3 minutes and you can get yourself right out of the game.
And so much different, Greg, than when
They took that point away, John. They said
they did.
Melvin stepped over the line.
Okay, and he doesn't look so happy, but that's a break for the Orioles.
Don't think they asked him his opinion before they called it. I think they just took it off the board.
Jack Lynch wide open on the left-hand side there, but another trifecta that time by Ray Whitlock. I believe his second 3 as Whitlock leading the Orioles as well tonight. Edwards 5-on-5 here is 5 for the Hawks and 5 for the Orioles. Howard defending him there. Newbern reset to Howard, top of the key. Shake and bake move left side. Howard with a block from behind, nicely done by the sophomore. The senior Edwards is sorted, and a nice job.
Oh, they called the block.
Boy, Wes Johnson there tried to beat him on the sideline there, and I don't know. We'll take a look at Newbern's. You see a nice job on the block that time by Howard, Greg, and I don't know if we have the other part of the replay, but could have been close on the charge or block. It was whistled the block, and that is Newbern's second foul. So they're going to sit him just to make sure he doesn't get 3 before the half. And that is 19 fouls on each team there as you take a look at the trifecta that the junior Whitlock just buried from the right corner. And Johnson hits the first one. Wes on the board for the Orioles, I believe.
He hasn't played a lot, I don't think, either, so he's just getting into the flow of things.
Good senior leadership. Misses on his second attempt. And going high is Marshall on the board, and he's going to almost take it all the way. Hawks going to reset, though, and from 25, Marshall, left-hand corner, down low to Newbern. Marshall again, left-hand dribble, rises up and finishes from 17. Nicely done to create that space with his speed, Greg.
Yep, he elevated well, and he had a nice little step back, not too much, and he had his feet squared, and he made a nice shot.
Yeah, when you have that quick first step and that hand-eye coordination, Johnson going to the middle, still hanging on, almost travels, but he does not. And a finish that time, and Orioles with a break, and I believe the Hawks thinking that there might have been a travel indicated, but there is not, and a nice finish that time. Here's Wes Johnson, holds on to that pivot foot barely, and then looks like Nicky Chose goes into the middle. Was that, I apologize, I'm not sure if that was number 5 on the foul.
I think they called it early on number
over
Mr. Edwards there.
Oh, they called it way over in the sideline. Okay,
that's what Cooper was complaining about. I think they thought it was probably before the shot. But
yeah,
little NBA on a Friday night, John. It's All-Star weekend.
Just what the Orioles needed, as they were almost down by 7 just a minute ago. They've cut it to 1. Hawks with the ball up 1. Right-hand dribble rises into the Oriole player, and unfortunately, a traveling going to be whistled as a little out of control that time was Marshall, and he runs hard into Wes Johnson, who's down and writhing in pain. Watch here as Howard traps, and then Marshall going to beat him clean, tries to split them both. Actually, 3 guys he tries to split. What, you think it was a step on the ankle there?
Yeah, looked like he got stepped on.
So the senior getting helped up by every member of the bench practically. And Coach Breitenbucher, nice to see the coach out there and the trainer helping. We had a knee-on-knee situation last night, as you see. Knee-on-knee situation in the hockey game I called last night where Tom Remfer's son, TJ, really was hobbled off the ice and he was down for quite a while. Luckily, he was able to return. We'll hope that the ankle gets some ice and Wes Johnson can return come second half. So, just when it looked like the Hawks were building some breathing room, the Orioles with a chance to go ahead here, down 1 with just 35 to go. We'll see what Coach Breitenbucher whistles if he wants the Orioles to hold it up and go for one. Doesn't seem like the kind of game where anybody's going to go for one. So
no, I don't.
Makes it fun, though.
Don't need a shot clock in this one.
There's Whitlock, left-hand dribble, goes off the hands of the Hawk player Newbern. And Orioles side out this time. And the sophomore Morrow with the entry pass. Nobody home, and he gets it to fellow sophomore. Greg, was that a roll off a pick? I was looking down. What happened exactly on the entry pass?
He faked one step in towards the.
Yeah. Watch it again here. Oh, look at his. Oh, there you had the defender. Yeah, exactly. The other there was
defender was playing on the wrong side of the ball, John.
I looked down and I couldn't believe how wide open he was.
Sometimes you don't need to draw up the plays. You just keep your head up.
And Jack Lynch going to finish there with a little help from the iron. Rolling, rolling, rolling. 32 all. And Jack, the sophomore, who in 14 games, averaging 4 a game for the Orioles. I believe he's got to check on this stat sheet come halftime as Andrew Thurston using those advanced math skills that he has to make sure he compiles the data. Just 10 remaining. Hawks holding for the last shot here. Crossing around the exterior. Look at the passes, 4 or 5 passes. And a rise up and a triple to end the half that time was Jason Edwards. And that's going to do things. But Greg, what ball movement on that sequence? You had 4 or 5 passes before Edwards could rise up that time.
Real pretty passing, and it got nice. Still was a long shot, but he still he had a good first half for him.
And what a back and forth battle. And I'm glad to say that it is a battle as well.
Yeah.
The Orioles coming out with some good intensity, and even though, as you mentioned, maybe not the straight athleticism that Cooper has in terms of, athletes, some good motion offense. The Orioles are running, doing a nice job setting some picks as well. You've had several fouls called, as both teams, I believe, had 10 fouls in the half. As we let Andrew Thurston compile some stats, your overall thoughts as we move to the second half in just a few minutes.
I think St. Louis Park, what you want to do, all the players on Cooper want to block the shot. So what you want to do is take it to the basket, and St. Louis Park has done a really good job of taking it to the basket so far. Defensively, they've looked a little shaky and ball handling a little shaky, but as long as they can keep moving on offense and passing the ball, I think don't hold the ball is the key for them in the second half. Cooper's going to come out with a little fire here in the second half, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. And nice for Coach Burton as well. We talked about Pickford being out today as a leading scorer, but I would think relatively he's got to be pretty happy with his bench production. He's been really getting quite a bit. I don't know.
I think the bench has played better than the starters. So I think they may be the starters the second half. So we'll have to see if he plays with the hot hands or he's going to stay with his rotation.
Well, and nice to see with all the youth movement being served on both teams that hopefully the cupboards will be pretty full come next year for both programs.
Yeah.
Obviously, I believe the Hawks only returned Pickford as a starter, and with him out tonight, you basically have an entire new cast from last year that's getting significant minutes. So.
Yeah, and it's not just average minutes. They're getting shots, and they're looking for Adam Cook, and Bijan Newbern has played almost the whole half, I think, unless he sat out maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So yeah, that's playing time on the varsity level. That's what you want to have.
And the freshman Adam Cook with that big bulk and size for the Hawks. We saw him early. They sat him down a little bit, but I'll tell you what a great future that young man has.
Yep, I think he's got a couple fouls. Big football player too, so he's got some mobility and he's going to keep working on different aspects. So yeah, bright future.
And in case you just tuned in, we're going to step away for a minute here, but that's Greg Thurston, one of the best basketball and baseball players as a combo platter that ever walked the aisles here at St. Louis Park High School. Mid-'80s grad, somebody I consider a friend who I've known since I was a kid playing Little League. And for you St. Louis Park older residents, you'll remember that Greg and I had the pleasure of playing in the field that ended its days in 1981 as we played over at Lions Field on Highway 7, right next to NL Industries back there.
Yeah, right behind the railroad tracks. Quite the field, though. It was a beautiful field, but
And Greg, I'm going to ask you this as long as we got a break here at halftime. You had a chance. You played for Augie Schmidt here in high school, who was a legend coaching-wise, who not only started out coaching basketball at Park, but also led Park to the state soccer title in '73. Augie obviously passed away a number of years ago. Just kind of your memories, and obviously you played for Roger Anderson as well as McEachran. Your thoughts of your days here at Park? And
my days here at Park were great. I mean, it was unbelievable, all the guys that you have, and
there you take a look at some.
Oh my goodness!
Take a look at beautiful job, Paul Broden. We talked about this. Where are you, Greg? Point yourself up.
I am the original number 23. I think someone else copied it and made it more popular.
Hold on this photo just for a second. I got to see if I can name some of these names. Is that Troy Erickson to your right, our left?
Yep, that's Troy. And
Matt Parrington?
Nope,
Chris Parrington?
Chris Parrington.
Wow. Jason
Cluse. That was my junior year.
Absolutely. So this is the 83-84 team, which included number 41, one of my big favorites, John Frank. You wore those big goggles.
Yes.
And literally, I don't know if Oriole fans remember him, and Mike Hammer.
Yeah, not many stories we could talk about John Frank on the air, but quite the guy. And back there was the mayor. The mayor of St. Louis Park. Lyle Hanks was
on the staff for years. Now this is exactly. Now, as we hold on this photo, one of the reasons I was so happy
Where are we getting these from?
To get a little help from my friends on this was Greg. Whether it be intramural basketball in 1984, whether it be coaching the Crystal Little League All-Stars who won the championship last year in baseball for the district. Greg was the coach of that. Greg always holding court, coaching.
Are you refereeing
here?
I refereed the intramural basketball. I believe, does the Rez still reside around here? I had a unique picture on the history of Rez because is he Bones? I don't remember.
Yeah, I was going to say, give me some insight on that.
I remember the Rez. He used to hum when he'd play. It was the only player I've ever seen that would hum the NBA theme from Channel 4 as he went down the lane, and people would laugh and they couldn't block a shot, but it was quite the history. One of the great intramural players, of course. Then they played the faculty, and the faculty would beat him. That was kind of the guards against
boy. That was no fair when you played Bosley and some of those guys. Exactly.
Appear from nowhere,
look at the insightful shot of Greg Thurston. Wow, on your right on the screen.
I think that was taking a break after studying, it looks like. I'm not sure what.
You know, and I got to say this, Greg. I've got a redheaded son in Ryan, and I know historically you were a redhead. You can't really tell. Greg, you really had kind of puffy high hair back then, but you're really well groomed that 83-84 school year.
Well,
you got it tight, real tight.
I discovered grooming probably in 1982.
And I don't know, is that a cake you're looking at? Or there's a couple other shots. Love this shot on the right. As you take a look, it looks like Greg on the left side of your screen following an Oriole player on a shot attempt. And on the right side, what the heck is going on in practice? You got a net behind you?
We tried some different things. I don't know what. Looks like we're playing an actual game, though, doesn't it?
It does, except it looks like you're at half court here, but you're actually standing over here.
Well, they still had the bleachers on the far end behind the basket. And
that might be down here. You're right. Absolutely. Historically, Greg is mentioning that there used to be all kinds of fold-out seats, not only in the building, but obviously on the end here, because back in the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of these games had 2,000 people at them.
I remember sitting there for some games, because that was the only place you could get sits when Jimmy Peterson was playing.
Yeah, so little walk down memory lane here. We're going to step away just for a minute as hopefully the embarrassment doesn't rein in, and that is a walk down memory lane for Greg Thurston.
Are we going to have pictures of you, John? I would have brought some if I knew we were going to do this. The cheerleading pictures.
Well, I think, Greg, after probably doing 150 to 175 games over the years, people are so tired probably hearing my voice. The last thing they want is to even see anything about me.
I got to regroup at halftime just like the players.
All right, we'll step away for a couple minutes. Stay with us on 16. We got a dandy here at the high school.
I remember the moment clearly.
I'll never forget that moment.
As long as I live.
I realized at that moment, when we first saw the damage, these people really needed us. And I was going to make a difference, right here in my community. Together with local responders, we cleared trees and collapsed walls. We had to get to the family trapped beneath. As a citizen soldier, I made a difference.
Be there for your community at NationalGuard.com.
We are back. St. Louis Park High School. We're going to start the second half immediately. Greg Thurston along with John Fromm. Greg, your thoughts and a little summation first half wise of the Hawks scoring wise.
Pretty spread out. Bijan has 9, Newbern and 3 players have 7, and nobody has more than 2 fouls. So looks like it's a go for the second half for everybody. No limitations, and we'll see what happens. They come out and put a good stop here on defense, and now they get the ball back.
And for the Orioles, not a surprise that the junior leading scorer Ray Whitlock with 14, and obviously the senior Nick Chose with 11 really dominating the score sheet. Good work by Andrew Thurston. Neither team with any real foul trouble. 3-pointer missed that time as the Orioles miss on one end with Whitlock, and rising up from 18 and missing for the Hawks was number 21. Nate Lutmer, who I don't know if did we see Nate in the first half?
He started and played about 3 or 4 minutes.
That's right. Okay. So Lutmer misses there from the senior, and then Adam Cook obviously back in the game, 41, the freshman center.
What was that?
And that ball going to be out of bounds. I don't know if we have the replay of that, on what hand it.
I think it got tipped by Cooper. I think it's going to be St. Louis Park's ball, but I don't think there was anybody in the corner, so I think they kind of got lucky there.
Yeah, they're good camera work. And excellent. Whoa, and one of the Orioles looks like Wes Johnson might have got hit in the back as it was out of bounds. So, and good to see Wes back. He looks like he's okay after that tumble. Oh, thought for a moment we might have a violation there, but Coach Breitenbucher going to the well early with a timeout here at 17:10. So gives Greg and I a chance to talk some more, which is always healthy.
It's healthy to talk, John.
Communication skills, and we're happy to have Andrew up here, who's got a younger brother, Sam, and of course I wanted to mention Greg and I really have been involved, and especially Greg's wife Sarah is a president of Crystal Little League. Greg's been a coach for years, board member. I'm just thrilled the success that the Thurston boys have had in the Little League program, and they've kept their dad busy coaching basketball over at St. Raphael's for years and coaching baseball, so he's really put back to the community a lot. So as the Orioles get back on the board here, I believe that was Ryan Domrus with a hoop there, 51, the sophomore. And Newbern on Howard here. Newbern, left hand cross to his brother as he right hands it. Reset top of the key that time. And Gordon. As Greg mentioned, 3 Hawks with 7, and then the freshman leading with 9 in the first half. Oh, and a nice strip that time, and the senior Jason Keller, beautifully done as he's able to get things going for the Orioles here. Right hand entry pass down to Domrus, playing catch, and back out to Keller. A little pick being set, and Keller going to work down low, and he with the entry pass that time, but nobody home for the Orioles unfortunately that time. Tommy Burnett in the game, and we're going to have, as the Oriole bench jumps up, a little happy there. There you see the entry pass. Did he shoot that with his right hand, Greg?
Looked like he was in between. Maybe kind of just threw it up there after he heard the whistle.
That is so difficult to finish with your right hand when you're that far away on the left side of the hoop. I don't have to tell you that. So there's Ray Whitlock, pushes it back to a Oriole lead. It's Whitlock's 15th point of the game. Ray, as we mentioned, third or fourth leading scorer in the Metro West, averaging 17 and a half a game for the junior. And he nice strokes it again, and Orioles bump it back out to a 2-point lead here. 37-35 Orioles. Early second half Metro West action. We got a dandy here tonight. High lob entry pass to Cook. The big man, the 9th grader, rises up on the entry pass there. I didn't think Melvin Newbern had a angle to push that pass in, but a really soft arc on that.
Yeah, it was a tough pass and a nice catch, and once he got his hands on that, he knew where to go. He went right to the basket.
Taking advantage of his bulk and height on that entry pass, as the Orioles don't have anybody as tall or thick as the freshman Cook, who Greg mentioned is also, I believe, a big football player for Cooper, which Coach Willie Howard must really appreciate up there. So good rotation on that foul shot. And the finish here knocks it at 37. Early second half action.
The volume has went up tenfold since the start of the game. I think it's a close game.
Absolutely.
Went off his knee.
And a good contingent of Cooper fans have made the trek down Highway 100. And that's nice to see. Inbounds this time to Newbern again as he'll get things reset. Newbern on Howard. Howard tries to defend him nicely. A little contact, but nothing whistled here. Right-hand corner, right hand high up, rising up across the side, and another traveling violation going to be whistled. You can see Melvin not very happy with that.
Melvin's playing away from the basket a lot more than I've seen. I like get him right down there on the block and let him use his jumping.
Yeah, exactly, with his bulk as well as that 6'4" frame, and we've seen those high wire dunks that he's finished already. So Howard the push to the side over to Keller. Keller works it back out to Whitlock, and all around the block it goes. Trying an up and under move and not able to finish was Howard. Follow that time, another follow, and the Orioles still wrestling for the ball, and Keller going to come out with it. So let's see if the third time's a charm for Park here. Good job on the offensive glass. Howard, right hand dribble, stripped away, but it is going to be Lutmer who says, not me. I didn't touch him. Maybe not in that frame of view, but frame of mind, I should say that. So second foul already for the Hawks early on here. Nate Lutmer's first. Howard, entry pass, soft kiss off the glass, but a really shallow angle and not able to finish. And not many people would from that angle was Chose. Working it around the three-point line all the way around. Hawks have done a nice job. They really, you know, as you talk about, they run a lot of motion offense. They also seem to flash their bigs from left hand to right hand and vice versa. They don't really run a lot of high-low sets or anything with it when they have two big guys in the game that I've seen, but no. Yeah. And from 17, a miss that time by Gordon and taken by Whitlock in the Orioles. They're going to take things the other way. And this fast-paced game continues to move. Howard, entry down to the corner, baseline area. Kick that time, left-hand dribble, going to the left hand. The sophomore trying to create some space. He ducked under that time, and he did get a little bit of room on Cook. Just created enough, Greg, to put the shot on, but he hit front iron. But Orioles able to keep the ball.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad move. Created a little space with his shoulder. I think the referees are going to let him play a little bit the second half here. So
Howard entry pass.
There's his third foul on Adam Cook.
And that's an interesting sequence here. Is Cook going to get whistled for his third? We'll see if Coach Burton decides to go to the bench here. But what I was going to say about that entry pass was Chose receives it from 10, 12 feet there and almost instigates the contact as he goes up against the glass. So in some way, a real smart senior play as he made sure that the referee saw the contact.
That's four fouls on Adam Cook.
Four fouls on Adam Cook.
They're going to have to take him out for a while here. So.
Yeah, so Adam going to sit down and gather his thoughts, and with 14:07 remaining, getting a big hand by the Cooper faithful over there, and good finishes by Mr. Chose. So 39-37 Orioles here. Been back and forth the entire game in this Metro West Conference game. Really a good one to call, and I hope you're with us. Get on the horn and let your friends know if you're watching this and they're missing out. So right-hand dribble kick to the corner by Newbern. Over to Marshall, back out from 17 is Newbern. Oh, and Newbern misses with the left hand. I thought that was going to be a triple. Howard with speed. Oh, and a nice block again by Newbern, but taken away that time by Howard. And Howard, beautiful block by Newbern. Paulie, let's go to the film.
I don't know. This might be a goaltend here.
As there you take a look at Jason Keller.
No, but I think it might have been okay. You can bring it in high school. You can bring it and pin it against the backboard. Not that I would ever have any experience in that.
And nicely done by Howard, the sophomore, as well, to follow what was a Jason Keller being blocked by Newbern. And the sophomore going to go to the line. But front iron on that first attempt. So you know, they've got up on the board officially. I might be wrong here, but it looks like they got on the board that Beard was saddled with the foul, but I don't know if we have a mistake there. Oh, there's a finishing. Go ahead, Greg.
He's out there. I don't know if they called it a foul on him or not. It looked like Melvin.
I thought it was Melvin too, but anyway, James Beard back out there, 32 for the Hawks. So kicked there on the outside by Gordon down in the left baseline. High entry pass goes down low, and here is indeed is Beard. And Beard going to finish nicely, 32 there.
Nice touch around the basket there. That wasn't an easy shot. That's an in-between shot.
And has he gotten a lot of minutes this year? I didn't get a lot of data on him, Greg.
I'm not sure. I don't think he's played that much, no.
And he's also listed as 6'5", as the Orioles going to get sent to the charity stripe one more time. Follow that sequence as you take a look at Beard there, Paulie, if we have the replay on the Oriole finish. Well, there you see Beard rising up from 12. Didn't really get a lot of height on his jump shot, but he didn't need to there with that 6'5" frame. So, and that is Beard, obviously, who got saddled again on the far side here with his third foul. You watch the sequence there. Kind of maybe for a reach in, or maybe got a part of that shot attempt. So 40-39 St. Louis Park, and we'll see if they can extend here. Domres from 12, excuse me, from 15 on the foul shot finishes. And back and forth we go. Where it stops, nobody knows. 41-39. Top of the key. Pushed over left-hand side from 19. Duber being harassed defensively by Keller, and Keller, I think, going to get saddled with the foul here.
Can't put two hands on him. You only put one hand on him, and you're not even supposed to do that, but they'll let that go.
Are they a lot better nowadays in high school basketball about hand checking? I know in the college game that was such an issue too, where you obviously have defensively, you have a lot of hand checks for the defender, but I haven't seen a lot of teams having that whistled as much anymore. So
I think the teams are figuring it out too, and I think it's a more free-flowing game too, which helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Newbern going to try to clear things out. Top of the key, goes between the legs twice. Over to Brother in the corner. Left-hand entry that time. Beard, right hand shoveling to the interior, and a right hand finish that time tried, but unable to do so is Gordon. And the Orioles going to reset and try to build on their 2-point margin. Chose nice entry pass and a nice try at the effort that time was Ryan Domres, and the sophomore going to shoot 2 at the line.
For a team that's shorthanded like Cooper, this foul trouble is really going to start hurting them pretty soon here. That's number 4 on Beard.
Yeah, 4, and we really didn't see Beard and Lutmer, as you mentioned, hardly at all in the first half. And then you're right, with the limited bench, and the Newbern brothers might not be coming out again for the rest of the game. So fourth foul as well on Beard. He has 3 fouls, I believe, in 2.5 minutes. So they're going to have, but they're leaving him in the game. I'm sure a little roll of the dice here, as 2 of the big guys for Cooper, both with 4 fouls in Cook and Beard. So Newbern going to go down low. Oh, a nice job defensively by Domres, as he got a small hand on that, but the ball rattled right back to Newbern, who finished that shot. Howard again has it blocked, that time by Newbern again. He must have a 3-4 blocks at least as he pins that one against the glass.
His timing is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty close call there, but I think that was another legal block.
And the Orioles here going to get saddled for a personal. We'll see what the number is on that violator.
It was Howard.
It was Howard. And Newbern finally going to take a seat. No, I apologize. He's not going to take a seat. He's got his hands on his hips, and he might use the air. But James Beard going to sit down 32, and Nate Lutmer going to grab some bench 21. So Beard obviously with 4 fouls. So, and back in the game, obviously Jason Edwards, number 5, a really quick, speedy point guard. Here is Edwards from 18, and he hits a triple immediately in the game, Greg.
Him and Marshall came in just now, and they both played really well the first half, so this might be a nice lineup for Cooper.
Marshall, number 23, as Greg mentioned. I believe he had 7 as well in the first half. And here it is, high pressure from Edwards at the top there. Not able to do so. The Orioles running some motion offense again, curling around to the top of the key is Howard. Howard, Marshall battling here is back to Howard in the corner. He's looking down low for fellow sophomore Domres. Looks like they might play catch. No, duck under move, and he tried to finish with the left hand, but a little wild that time, Greg.
That's probably why we see him going back to that right hand sometimes. That left hand looked a little wild. Yeah,
and he tried to release that underneath, as that one rattles wildly off the glass and then the rim. Newbern not able to finish here. Whitlock stops from 18. Nice entry pass and a nice up and under, and a quick release, Greg, by Chose on that. He really got up quick with all the blocks the Hawks have made.
Yeah, they figured out they better go quick because somebody's going to come and pin it against the backboard.
Absolutely. So 45-44, it keeps going in another trap. I'll tell you, you know, I know it's being called relatively close on those traveling violations, but that's got to be at least 6, 7 traveling fouls in the game on Cooper.
Oh, at least.
There you see a nice entry pass, and he had to catch that down low on his hip, but he went up really quick with the right hand, and that was the right call with the right hand. Howard with speed. Oh, wow, good idea as he got a little out of control as he was jumping out of bounds that time, and he throws it off Domris's feet.
I think Melvin just mentioned that he was standing there and got a little nervous. I think he did his job there without having to block the shot.
Yeah.
It's tough when you're in 9th grade to see a guy like that. You don't see that in 7th and 8th graders playing.
Yeah. Yeah, Howard, and you know, it's nice for the Orioles to have Howard as well. Oh, and there's a nice.
Wow.
He hadn't started the second half, but Jason Edwards making his presence known early. His 4th and 5th points of the second half by the senior, and a beautiful drive. Let's watch the replay here. That penetration causes the Orioles defense to collapse momentarily, but working his way through the tall timber was Mr. Edwards, who finishes. And 1, and here's the finish. So 6 already in the second half for Edwards. And he's really, he's kind of like Vinnie Johnson back in the Pistons days. He's kind of the microwave offensively. Speaking of the microwave, he almost steals it away here, but Howard going to steal it back. And Whitlock goes up and under, but hasn't hit the iron, but a good follow again by the sophomore Domrith. So youth well served there for the Orioles, and I thought Edwards was going to make another good play on the steal. Trying to split the D, and I believe he partially does so as Newbern, but he misses. That one goes off the iron, but he's going to have it whacked out of his hands, so Cooper going to retain possession. That was almost a little bit of a forced shot, I think, by Melvin, but he didn't. He made sure to follow his shot, Greg.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a force. I think he thought he could get to the basket, and he got chested pretty good there, chested up. So.
Yeah. Let's see here. Kicks it over to Marshall, cross down low. And a really awkward right-handed runner shot that time, and I think unfortunately for Damian Gordon, he did go up with the right hand. Cross court, and Mr. Active, Jason Howard, gets another hand on that. So you can see why he as a senior is such an important part and second leading scorer for the Hawks. And with Pickford being out, he's obviously probably carrying more of the weight scoring-wise as well. So nice ball sequences. The Orioles a little give and go here. From 17 was Whitlock. Has had that run all the way across the rim and out. Right-hand dribble and good speed down low as Edwards going to throw it to a partner, but that effort a little wild, and we've got an injury as Newbern down behind the basket, but they're not going to stop things. 5-on-4, Park and a facial. That blocked all the way over to the police officer on the sides over there.
Police officer showed nice hands.
And hopefully Newbern's, everybody looks to be okay.
He's got to get back in.
Oh, look at Coach Burton, really unhappy, wanting to know, I think, not only wanting the timeout, but Greg, why don't you explain to fans watching at home why indeed, because I know, but explain why when Newbern was injured underneath the Oriole basket, why the game was able to keep going for St. Louis Park.
Well, they didn't have the ball, so they had to.
Exactly.
And it looked like he.
Yeah, maybe he got stepped on by.
Yeah, he took an.
I think I might have been Jordan Marshall who stepped on him, but then Jordan responded well and went all the way down. He took a pretty good shot on
the shot, too.
Yeah.
When he shoots here, it looks like he gets kind of jolted in the chest.
You know, I think he got fouled on the wrist there. It
after
wasn't
the
called.
shot, too.
Yeah.
And
so
Jordan came down on his ankle,
and
too.
Then
I see the blue shoe on the ankle, so.
Yeah, that helps. It helps that Jordan's got the blue skips out there. It's nice for the announcers, too, when you don't even have to look at the numbers. Look at the color of those skips. Is that something you encourage with your coaching at the high school level?
The shoes? No, we don't have a
variety of shoe colors, or haven't done anything with Nike or Converse yet?
McGregor, do they still make shoes? That's ones I wore.
What about the Converse Chuck Taylors? We're really dating ourselves. Oh, there's Marshall again. We've called his name. Very active tonight. And Newbern throws it on the hip and goes up with the left hand.
Count it.
They are, and one. And I'll tell you what, the amazing thing there is when that ball curved and rolled on his right hip, he had the wherewithal, Greg, to bring it back and get it up to his left hand. And watch here what happens.
Looked like nobody from St. Louis Park really wanted it.
He pulled it behind his back almost, and then pulled it and whipped it to the left hand. That takes some athleticism when you're running that fast. So
nobody really stepped up there. So.
Yeah. So
we got another foul on Cooper.
Another one on the Hawks. Newbern wasn't able to finish and make it a three-point game, but Hawks going to get saddled. And I believe already Orioles not only in the 1-and-1, as the Hawks have 7 fouls in the second half, but that's also the third foul on Damian Gordon, and with 2 other players saddled with 4, I believe. The last thing the Hawks want is a third body with 4, as there's still 9 minutes remaining here in the second half. To the line is Chose. Nice job for the senior. Nick, as we mentioned, going to have an opportunity to keep playing basketball on. He's really doing a nice job. He's averaging almost 6 boards a game for St. Louis Park. 6'4" senior and 13 a game. Having a good game offensively as well, as both he and Whitlock, I believe, are over their season averages, really carrying a lot of the weight offensively. Nick going to take a seat momentarily here. Coach Breitenbucher wants to make sure he's good for the last 5 minutes.
They've done a good job of slowing the tempo down, too, in the second half, so they're going to be in it till the end.
Yeah,
If they keep this pace and keep Cooper from getting out and running, getting the bunch.
Good insight as the Hawks are able to reset with Edwards. Fancy dribbling out at the top of the key. Cross down low to Marshall, and Newbern, it looks like from 18, tried the 3. I believe another foul on Cooper, as it was almost a Hawk sandwich that time for Jason Keller, but 2 different sets of Hawks got their hands on him. Watch the sequence here. There is the 3-pointer by Newbern. Rebound comes on the backside, and yeah, close. But indeed, was that Lutmer who picked up the foul? His third already. Andrew Thurston's put a lot of chicken scratches down underneath the foul column this game, and that's 8 fouls on the half for the Hawks already. So another 1-1 when the Orioles hit 10 fouls, and the Hawks hit 10, I should say. Both teams will be shooting 2 the rest of the game. There was a really wide-awake player there in Jason Keller who thought he missed that foul shot and was ready to break hard.
He was the only one that did.
He was the only one who reacted, so. Keller, senior, also a real good baseball player in the St. Louis Park system. Had a long home run I saw last year against Benilde that helped polish off the Red Knights. Little curl that time by Newbern, and the clean finish. So nice sequence. Newbern curls off almost a partial pick that time, set by the ball handler for Cooper, who was dribbling in. Clean handoff, and Newbern finishes.
That was an ultra quick move.
Sure was. For the Orioles, obviously, I mentioned Josiah Morrow out there again, 35, top of the key, rattling it around the exterior. 3-point land. Here's Howard directing traffic. Looking down low for the sophomore Domris again, who's seen a lot of action again. Whitlock, left-hand dribble, top of the key. Orioles possibly looking for another entry pass here, and on a little overplay. Oh, it looks like Oh, I apologize. I thought for a moment they were going to get Domris with a hold on Newbern, but it's just the opposite. Newbern going to get whistled for a hold on Domris. Watch the entry pass. Looks like, yeah, boy, tough to tell who was holding each other's arms, but.
A tough call to make when they're shooting 2 shots every time.
But I'll tell you what, you talk about what a quality young man Newbern is in terms of his game. As a high rising rebound is Marshall. Only his first foul of the game, and he hasn't come out. And Edwards, I think Greg, on that drive, he almost tried to fake like he was going to pass it with his left hand, and he took an extra step. So adding to the traveling total, unfortunately, is, yeah, look.
In a 1-point game, I don't think we need to.
He goes right.
He got the first down, though. He made a nice move.
He made make a good running back. Absolutely, with speed and whatever he could do with the football. There is Edwards on the Orioles, Ray Whitlock. Edwards' speed trying to clamp down on Whitlock, which you can understand. Soft entry pass and a bounce, back and forth. 2 bounce passes and a high wire act from 18 feet. A triple that time by the sophomore Morrow. But Edwards going to kick it down quickly, and Newbern rises up and misses there from 16. Orioles go back in front on that 3-pointer by Morrow. But the Hawks rattled it right down and tried to knock down a 2. Oh, nice entry pass by Keller. Not able to finish his Morrow, but that was a soft bounce pass inside, Greg, on the interior.
That was a nice pass. A little quick there. I think the shot blocking in the first half has kind of scared St. Louis Park into shooting a little faster than they needed to.
Yeah, Morrow, watch the sequence. There's Morrow's 3. Clean up, a lot more height on it than I thought he was going to go.
Yeah, from our angle, it looked like he was going to hit the roof.
That's been done a few times here at St. Louis Park High School gym. Opened in '56, this facility. Saw the 1962 state basketball champions here at St. Louis Park, and another turnover for the Hawks that time. Ball goes high off the top of the court, and if you watch that sequence, probably 15 turnovers at least on the game for Cooper, which probably is the one bugaboo that Coach Burton is really going to have to address after the game for his Hawks in practice.
Yeah, sloppy play.
And with their quickness, it's understandable that they want to move things right along and have such great athletes to do that, but you've got to be a little more under control. Orioles continue to pass it on the exterior here. Morrow, little penetration, but going to have a travel, I believe, there.
I think they...
Or stepping on the...
No, they called it a double dribble. I think when he caught it, he dropped it. I think they counted that as a dribble. I don't know if that was a dribble or not.
So Wes Johnson going to pick one up here. Number 3, not happy with the call, but still a 2-point game. 6.5 remaining. We got a barn burner here on Friday night, Metro West action. Oh, and a nice block that time.
Boy, he's strong going into that basket.
Yeah, that Edwards had it partially blocked on the dribble penetration inside. It was a tough shot, but he kept fighting for the ball. You can tell he's had to fight for everything in his life with that disposition. He probably has to fight at the dinner table for seconds, I'm sure.
Well, when you go to a school like Vanille, it's kind of a
well, maybe he didn't have to
tough
fight.
Times, yeah.
Yeah, that might have been an unusual, unusual school for him, exactly. So I don't know. Is Jason Edwards here, the senior? Nice finish, and that's at least 8 points, I believe, in the second half. We'll have to check. Yeah, he's got 15 on the game. So Edwards over his season average and really providing a big spark second half off the bench. Ooh, nice right-hand bounce entry pass that time. Chose throws it out. Little wild pass, and it looks like, yeah, Newbern.
Nice hustle by Newbern.
Look at the feet being used by Wes Johnson. He doesn't have a soccer background, but he was not going to let Newbern take that.
He called the jump ball with him controlling it with his feet.
Watch this. Wes can see the speed of Newbern, and then watch the ball. Great camera work here. Look at him use those feet. He pulls it up underneath his keister.
That's a play on, I believe. No yellow.
Exactly. So alternate possession going to go to the Hawks. And Mr. Johnson, fresh off the tie-up, going to take a seat. And for the Orioles, back in the game, number 5, Howard. Mikal Howard. Left hand, Newbern again loves to go to that left hand and almost to finish that time for 2 at the foul line as he beats Domris. Domris with the hand straight up, but the junior took the sophomore off the dribble here.
It's easy to say that it make him go right because he's left-handed, but boy, when he's tall and quick like that. And
well, and he, you know, Greg, on that sequence, so Domris was overplaying to try to get him to go with the left hand, the way his feet were positioned.
Yeah, that was probably not a good idea.
Yeah, he wasn't squared up. He was really open to allow the left foot penetration there. So I don't know if Coach Bright Bucher, yeah, he's got Jason Keller taking a seat on the bench momentarily here. So trying to go up by 2, and indeed they do. Melvin Newbern. Melvin officially for the game, I believe 16, I think roughly we have. So 3 sophomores out there for St. Louis Park getting some really quality experience, and a nice, and a nice 360 spin move that time by Morrow as Newbern was trying to pick his pocket. He did push it over to the sophomore Chose, but Orioles going to maintain possessions as he was knocked out of bounds.
Yeah, these minutes count a little more than regular minutes when you get down in the clutch, so it's good for the sophomores out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got 3 sophomores out there with the senior Chose. And that one's kicked away. Nicely done by Jordan Marshall. And the break for Edwards with speed, and he does try to finish. Tries to finish with the right hand. I think if he goes with the left hand, he's got an and one opportunity. Watch the replay here. Here's Edwards again, and some help from the Orioles. Ryan Domris is going to get his 4th foul, so big foul trouble. Both teams with 9 team fouls, so 1-and-1 here. So
Domris made a nice hustle play, though. That was good that he got back and he made a play on the ball. He did foul him, but still a nice hustle. You don't want to give up 2 points when it's this close.
Love to see Coach Brighton Bucher here, as Augie Schmidt would do for you, instructing him, Ryan, a little up, probably disappointed about that foul, but making sure to keep his spirits up.
I didn't hear him up here. Augie would have been a little louder probably in our conversations on the court.
And another sophomore in the game, Jack Lynch, only saw about 4 minutes in the first half, 43 in the game. Howard back out top of the key, backdoor cut. For a moment, it looked like Whitlock was open. Morrow left-hand dribble, penetration. Nice kick back to his sophomore teammate, Howard.
Yeah,
Howard.
both teams are going a little deeper than they normally go because of the foul trouble, but I don't think that's needs to be a bad thing. I think that's a good thing, even though.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, active hands, active feet. Jason Howard caused a turnover almost that time and a clean steal. Jack Lynch, 43. He and Keller working things down low for the Orioles. Howard with some speed. It looks like he's going to have an offensive foul here, and he might be hurt on the play as Mr. Edwards, doing it all on both sides of the ball, takes the charge that time from Howard, and his fourth foul is Howard.
Jesus.
So no one's fouled out, folks. But on that charge, the Orioles officially now with 10 fouls, the Hawks with 9.
That was really nice defense. He got a little out of control.
Yeah.
He's younger. He probably isn't used to that type of intensity that's been going at it the whole game, so I'm sure he'll get used to it and go under control and make that pass to the corner.
And Edwards behind the back, 15, senior leadership. Not able to get that. That could have been a big sequence as it would have put the Hawks up 5. Indeed, the Orioles still a chance to tie here with 1 possession. Good speed by Bejan, who runs high up in the crowd, and was he pointing? He wants the ball still, yeah. So nicely done, good athleticism that time. 3-point Hawk lead here. Morrow, good inbounds here. Got nothing there, almost a 5-second violation, but he was able to finally get it into Chose.
Okay, we're starting to look a little ragged here. We just got to reset everything and kind of slow it down and then go.
Yeah.
4 minutes left. There's a lot of time left.
Howard over to Morrow again. Foul trouble abound for each team, so Orioles just going to pass and make sure they get a clean shot. Whitlock down on the baseline, thought about it momentarily, but he's going to hold things, so might be the longest amount of time in the game either team's gone without shooting. And there's almost a clean block that time, but he must have got some arm.
He
was
swatted
Jordan
down
Marshall.
on it. He even kind of did it with his arm there. He should have just put his hand up and he would have blocked it, but I think he wanted to send that one back towards the wall. Maybe that's the policeman again.
And all you kids watching at home, even though Ray Whitlock might not have as much foot speed as the young man who was guarding and Damian Gordon, that head fake really got Gordon enough to jump in the air, and he beat him to the drive that time. So Orioles hoping to cash in again and cut it to 1-point deficit here. And indeed they do. 3.5 to go. Buckle up the last 3.5 minutes. Cooper 56, the Orioles 55. So 1-point deficit for the Orioles. Whoa, and almost thrown away that time was Dubern, but Johnny on the spot was Jason Edwards. 3-pointer attempted from 18 and the miss. Oh, a rebound momentarily, but lost the ball that time, or knocked out of his hands was Gordon, and Park try to go ahead here. Showing down low and flashing his hands is Chose, who was open momentarily. He's going to run the baseline for Park, and a clear out play that time, but nothing doing as it was beautiful exterior penetration, a down low entry pass, but a follow by Whitlock. Orioles worked it all the way around, Greg, and a beautiful entry pass. Wasn't able to finish by the sophomore, but Whitlock again, he's over 20 for the game, I believe. So, a clean break on the left-hand drive, but another block, that time by Lynch. So Lynch, even though he didn't have a lot of help, for once Edwards was contained in the second half. Watch that sequence. Edwards clean off the break. And, you know, he went back to the middle on his drive that time, Greg. I don't know if that was the overplay that Lynch had, but caused that sequence to happen. And Newbern actually going to get whistled for the foul, but only his second. So
that was a nice play by St. Louis Park before. That's called going from side to side.
Yeah, that was really excellent. You know, I understand, too, when I talked to Coach Breitenbucher a few weeks ago, why he was really positive, even though, you know, sometimes you look at the paper and you say maybe the results haven't been what you wanted, but he's got a lot of youth served, as Cooper does, and, you know, it looks like a lot of composure has been gained during the season by this crew. So
they've played great tonight. It's a tie game with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left.
Yeah, and not a huge entourage of Park fans, but those who are here have been treated to an excellent game. And obviously, compared to the first time these teams met earlier in the season, Coach Breitenbucher and his staff real happy with the effort. So,
well, I'm sure a lot of people wanted to stay home and watch you do the game on TV, John. I think that's probably why everyone's.
Well, this game will be replayed a lot, and obviously fans are aware that there is a volume control on your remote that can obviously be utilized if need be. but we hope you'll always listen to Greg and I. That's Greg Thurston on the color tonight, St. Louis Park. You know, you had a chance to play baseball, as we mentioned, at Park, and you were one of the best hitters that I ever saw, and you were really intelligent up at the dish, Greg, as you'd crowd that plate, try to make sure the pitcher was always working the outside, and the only recipe for success against you was to bust you on the inside corner. But you could still turn quick with those Thurston hips.
There's some pitchers in the Lake Conference that would disagree with you probably on that. They could get me out.
They could.
We had when I played, it was some very good competition.
Oh boy, mid-80s.
And won the World Series in Legion that year.
And your grade, 85 and 79, a lot of those kids, including Chris Parrington, Dave Solsa. Dave, of course, minor league ball drafted, and Chris was just a great athlete. 3-sport star who played football at St. John's as well. So Chris Parrington, a big part of the class.
Great athlete.
Absolutely. So we're back to live action. 2:25 to go. Anybody's ball game. 2-point lead for the Orioles. And Newbern works baseline with the right hand dribble, but then he switches back to his natural left hand, goes up and under, and ties it at 58.
That's extreme quickness right there. That's a tough matchup for St. Louis Park. You might have to think about getting somebody to help with him.
Good call there. And tough matchup for the Orioles as well, as Edwards has been on Whitlock a lot in the second half, but switching out here, Newbern's going to be on Ray. Two leading scorers going to go against each other defensively here. Ray a little undersized at 6 feet. This 6'4" Newbern. Probably not going to be able to post him up at all. We'll see if, as the Orioles continue to pass on the exterior, just 1:40 to go. Howard, I think, thought about it momentarily.
Cooper's really changing on defense pretty good.
They're switching back a lot. They're switching their coverages. Morrow's, a little wild shot from 7. Not probably what the Orioles wanted, as Josiah wasn't square on the turnaround there.
They needed a little more discipline there.
Newbern shows his leadership as he's able to left-hand drive and finish. And 2 hoops in a row by Newbern pushes the lead to 2.
Yep, that was a 4 down. And give Newbern the ball and get the heck out of the way.
Those were 2 money plays, too, if you're a sports fan. Late in the game, crunch time. And a nice, speaking of money plays, rising up the sophomore. Rising up for the Orioles to knot it at 60. Indeed was Mr. Howard, Mikel Howard. Pretty fearless on that attempt. You like to see that for the young man. Good penetration that time. And from 12, another clean play and good finish by the sophomore, Damian Gordon.
Both teams played this way the last 4 minutes, so they had a lot better record, you'd think, the way they're playing.
Youth being served. Good to see sophomores finishing, and another drive by Howard. Nice to see for the Orioles. They're really going, and the Orioles lobbying for, trying to make sure that was a shooting foul. The referee's going to consult on this. What were your thoughts on it, Greg?
I still think it was going up.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. NBA, that would have been the continuation rule, and the Orioles are going to get that call. I believe they're...
Nope, they're going to get 2 free throws on it. They said it was a foul, but it wasn't a basket.
I don't know what Coach Breitenbucher talking about on the sidelines here, but Howard again. Nice stroke by the sophomore, knocks it at 61. He's got 3 points in a row here. And into the game after some yeoman-like work for Jack Lynch is Ryan Domris, who's had a great game for the Orioles. So this would cut it, this would tie it up. Let's see if he can get it. Hard off the back iron that time. And a timeout for the Hawks. So he finished the first one clean, but a little hard off that back iron, and Hawk lead with 30 to go. 62-61. There you see the score. Both teams in the double bonus.
Yeah, that probably plays a little strategy here. With 10 fouls, it's going to be a 2-shot foul no matter who they foul, so you might want to go for the steal.
I do not have the stats in terms of free throw percentages. Any thoughts, if you were Coach Breitenbucher, on who you might need to look at fouling here on Cooper?
It depends on who they bring out, but they've got some pretty good shooters out there, and I think the free throws, they've been making all of them. So.
Yeah, well, certainly I think the Orioles are going to hope that Melvin Jr. is not the one they send to the line. I'm assuming they're going to stay away from him.
He's on the freshman. Maybe they want to bring him if he's out there.
Good.
We'll see. Maybe play tough defense. So I don't think Cooper doesn't hold the ball, I'm guessing, very well. Doesn't look like they practice that. I mean, 5 seconds and they're shooting usually, so.
And I can't tell you what a lot of fun this has been. We've had some great games this year on Park 16, be it hockey, be it basketball, and this is another barn burner down to the wire here.
The crowd's really into it, yeah, it's a nice night.
And for you Park fans, Cooper really took it to the Orioles last time with a 30-plus point win, but still Orioles with a chance, down one, and the trap there, and getting a hand in, and the foul going to be called on Chose as they tried to pin Mr. Newbern down, but weren't able to do so.
It's okay, 24 seconds. They still have plenty of time to come back and make it, maybe get two, 3 possessions out of this if they keep fouling quickly.
Hey, Greg, you know the thing I like about that as a basketball purist is Chose ran up and tried, as Newbern's going to finish that one, he tried to pin him right as he crossed the foul line. So in theory, there was a possibility if the trap would have succeeded, you might have even had an over and back violation. So
yeah, that's what you try to go for the play, and if it's not there, you make the foul. There was a guy open without hardly any defenders back there, so it's probably a good idea he did foul.
So Greg Thurston.
I'm going to get up and dance for a second, John. Hold on.
Greg, is this, are you a big Eminem fan, Greg?
Is that who it is? Yes, I am. If that's who it is.
It's Eminem. I might be wrong. I kind of think of myself as one of the cool dads at age 49, but well, I shouldn't say that. That's a lie. I don't think of myself as cool at all. So.
It's not on my playlist.
But maybe on Andrew Thurston's.
Well, I'm guessing so.
No comment there. Look at the Hawk faithful. I don't know if we got a shot of that on the sideline. Talk about in the rhythm down
They've
low
got
here.
St. Louis Park guys on there.
One of our cameras, man, it has that. It's an unbelievable dance sequence. Look at the Rhythm Brothers. Now they're finally going to stop as they...
yes, they knew the camera got on.
As they go on. I thought we were maybe going to have about 20 guys down earlier as they were rocking.
When they first started, it got a little out of control.
So 24 to go. Down to the timeout entitled. Newbern going to have a second shot here. Chance to make it a 3-point game. And then if he does finish this time, it'll be interesting what Coach Breitbeaver talked to the team about. I believe the Orioles still don't officially have the timeouts that have been utilized in the game, but I think Coach Breitbeaver has at least one more. So
I still think they can run it down and get maybe a 2-point basket real quick if they're guarding the 3.
Oh, and that's finished nicely. So 3-point deficit as Newbern finishes them both, and Ray Whitlock, the man with the ball, down 3.
There you go. Oh, shoot that. You had nobody on you.
Ray had an opportunity to try to lay that up, but he's going to shoot a long 3. Hard with that 3 and a high up, nice rebound. Yeah, I think Ray's going to kick himself momentarily about not trying to go up on the 2-point attempt, but he does rise up and shoot the 3 as we watch the sequence again here.
Yeah, because I think Cooper, they all went out to guard the 3-point line, and he turned around and he would have had the whole way. But if that's you know, you don't know what they talk about on the bench either.
Yeah, exactly. So a little bad break, and nice job defensively by Marshall, able to carry him the rebound. And really, you'd have to think if he can hit one here, one of the 2 as he's shooting 2, going to make it a 2-possession game.
And if they don't foul, which could be a problem for Cooper tonight, they could get away here pretty good, but you never know.
Yep. Hawks again 5 and 6 in the conference. Orioles 4 and 7. Both teams prepping for section basketball play, which I think starts in 2 weeks for boys basketball. Hawks are in 5 quadruple A.
Yeah, they're in a tough section too. John, you want to talk about the Nordic skiing real quick?
Oh,
we got 11 seconds left. Now would be the time.
Yeah, I want to make a shout out. Not getting a lot of coverage ever, and tough to cover, is Nordic skiing at Park High. But a special shout out to Sean Cork and the Oriole cross country team who won the section again. One of the favorites to win the state tournament yesterday. They did finish 5th, but Sean Cork finished 2nd in the state, the senior, only lost by 1 second in his attempt to win the state championship individually. And one of his teammates, I believe Liam, apologize, I don't remember the last name, but Liam finished 13th. So 2 finishers in the top 15 for the Oriole Nordic program, which has been one of the more successful programs here at Park High. So, and that's, I believe, the 3rd Cork brother who's been part of the Nordic program here. So,
little dynasty going there with the Nordic skiing.
And I talk about great athletes, those cross-country skiers.
You should do a meet next year, maybe, John. Get out there in the winter St. Louis Park gear.
I'll have to consult with Paul on that. I definitely would want some heated protection if we're going to be out there for 3 hours. So.
Okay, now we've got a 4-point lead now for Cooper. So St. Louis Park has got to go quick with a 3 probably, and then get a quick foul on the inbounds pass. You don't want to foul before it gets in.
Marshall misses the second. 10 seconds remaining. Orioles are going to have to go quick. Lynch cross court.
There it is.
Mohoro going to just, whoa, a high rising shot. Going to miss that time. And Lynch has it. And we're going to have a foul there. So
nope, I think he was out of bounds.
Oh, okay. Just 0.3 of a second
they've
remaining.
They've got to do
though.
the 4-point play now, though, would be a good time for
Need
it.
to get fouled and make a 3, and I don't think the Hawks are even.
Cooper's fouled a lot, but I don't think.
If I'm Coach Burton, I want to make sure nobody's even standing over the 3-point line. That's all you need. So not going to go the Orioles' way tonight as the Hawks are able to execute towards the end. Good job, obviously, by Cooper, but good job as well by St. Louis Park here. And hopefully something else to build on from Coach Breitenbucher. Both teams coming up off the mat with 12-point losses on Tuesday night. I believe, I don't have the official schedules, but I think Cooper still has a game remaining. He just nice shot, 0.3 remaining here. I think Cooper plays Chaska still, I think, next week, which will be a tough matchup as the Hawks looks like they're going to win the first ever Metro West Conference title. And youth serve for both teams tonight. So
yeah, a lot of good playing time. Cooper should just stay out of the way and let it go.
Try on the high lob to Lynch, and that's going to do it here tonight. And a really well-played game for St. Louis Park. Weren't able to come back and get the W, but for the Orioles, some really bright spots, Greg. And for the Hawks, down Teron Pickford, they're probably their best player, and having a lot of foul trouble going into the second half. Some real positive things, obviously, for Coach Burton. A lot of things to be happy about.
Yeah, they had a lot of guys doing different things tonight, so that was good.
And you see some good sportsmanship on both teams. A lot of these gentlemen know each other quite well. Obviously, Coach Breitenbucher been around the Park program now since Larry Rongline was here in 2000. And Coach Burton obviously was with Coach Johnson for multiple years as an assistant, and this is just his third year as the head man for the Hawks. Andrew Thurston been tabulating our stats all night long. Maybe I'll ask Andrew to turn it over to Dad, and Dad can read off the official scoring for the game, at least some of the leaders. Obviously, Mr. Newbern, Melvin Newbern Jr., probably the man that made it at the end finishing. But go ahead, Greg, what do you have?
Melvin Newbern led it with 21 points. 15 for Jason Edwards, who had a really good game.
Yeah.
He came in and helped out. Bijan Newbern had 9, and Damian Gordon had 9.
Yeah, so Bijan didn't score, I don't believe, in the second half, but Mr. Edwards, who didn't start in the second half, we talked about the microwave, Vinnie Johnson. He really is an explosive threat from his point guard slot. So want to remind everybody, if you want to get a copy of this game, and I know oftentimes people are asking us, how do we get a copy of a game that's played here on 16? Well, keep that graphic up for a moment, Paul. You can call Paul at that number. DVDs are $15 for one. If you buy 3 or more, they're $10 a piece. So Cooper fans or Oriole fans, get some of the parents together. Get the kids together, and players, tell your folks you want a DVD of the game. I don't make any money for that, nor does Paul or anything, but this is something you probably want to remember for a long time because there was a lot of good efforts on both teams. And obviously go to ParkTV.org to find replay times. Scroll all the way to the bottom of the screen to channel 16 icon. Click on that, and you'll find out the live web streaming. You can watch it right on your computer at any time, and it'll also show you the replay times. And lastly, relating to that, Paul has I believe the city has almost 400 or 500 shows on the new YouTube channel. The city, Greg, it's so advanced now. Wow. The city has a YouTube channel that they tape everything. Paul pretty much works 70 hours a week taping everything from council meetings. The other day they were taping freshman orientation to replay. So a special shout out, and I'm really happy with the Orioles' progress during the season, as I mentioned, and for Cooper as well, a lot to build on, and some good adversity they're dealing with too, with the loss of their captain earlier in the year who's been out, and this now with Pickford. So, Greg, any final thoughts about the teams or getting a chance to strap on the headset tonight?
No, I strapped it on and it felt pretty good. I got to be happy for St. Louis Park. I know they're going to be probably down in the locker room right now.
Yeah,
I've been in that situation before, unfortunately, and feels bad. But I think if you learn from it, They found some ball movement, and they really reversed the ball well and had a lot of open shots. And, you know, they had 5 or 6 shots that might have went in if they weren't swatted out of the air.
Oh, yeah. Mr.
So,
Newbern is a human highlight film, and Marshall as well.
If they stick to it, I think they'll be okay, John.
Well, and a lot of youth well served for Park as well, only playing 9, but 6 of them coming back, and a cast of many for the Hawks coming back. So hopefully even next year there'll be some good competitive games as well, hopefully with these two teams. So for Coach Breitenbucher, who obviously been a longtime teacher in the school district, you know, very happy with the effort. And we're going to step away tonight, but join us next time here on Park 16. For Greg Thurston, this is John Fromm saying good night